Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. In this video, you're going to learn everything about repeating tasks in Python, mastering for loops, while loops, and controlling them with break and continue. Tired of writing the same lines of code over and over again? Imagine you need to do something like process a list of 1,000 customer names, or maybe keep asking a user for their password until they get it right. Manually coding each step for every single item? That sounds like a programmer's nightmare. That's exactly where the superpower of loops comes in. Loops are the absolute backbone of making your code efficient, automated, and frankly, much easier to write. In this video, we're going to unlock the two main types of loops in Python, the for loop and the while loop. Plus, you'll learn how to get ultimate control over your loops using break and continue. By the end of this lesson, you'll be writing Python code that can repeat tasks effortlessly, saving you tons of time and effort. All right, let's dive into the theory. So at its core, why do we use loops? Simple. They let us run a block of code multiple times without having to write that block over and over again. Think of it as giving your computer a set of instructions and saying, do this X times, or do this until something specific happens. Let's start with the for loop. The for loop is perfect when you know exactly how many times you want to repeat something, or more commonly when you want to go through each item in a sequence. What kind of sequences? Well, things like lists of names, strings, which are sequences of characters, tuples, and even dictionaries. These are all types of iterables in Python, things you can loop over item by item. The basic structure looks like this. For item in sequence, code to repeat for each item, print item. You can read this as, for each item in this sequence, do the code indented below. Names equals Alice, Bob, Charlie. For name and names, print hello plus name. See? It went through each name in the list and printed a greeting. Super handy. What if you just want to repeat something a specific number of times and you don't have a list? That's where the range function comes in. Range gives you a sequence of numbers. For example, range 5 gives you numbers 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. For I in range 5, this will print 5 times. You can also give range a start and stop number, like range 1, 6, which gives you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Remember, range stops before the end number. This is a common spot for a small mistake, often called an off by 1 error. If you want numbers 1 to 5, you need range 1, 6. Okay, that's the for loop, great for iterating over things or repeating a fixed number of times. Now let's look at the while loop. The while loop is different. It repeats a block of code as long as a certain condition is true. You don't necessarily know ahead of time how many times it will run. The structure is, while condition, code to repeat while the condition is true, print, still looping. Important, update the condition variable here. Here, the condition is something that can be either true or false, like x10 or is game over equals to false. Count equals 0, while count is less than 3, print count is count. Count equals count plus 1, or count plus equals 1. In this example, count is less than 3 is the condition. The loop keeps running as long as that's true. Critical point alert. With while loops, you must make sure that the condition will eventually become false. If the condition never changes or never becomes false, you'll get an infinite loop. Your program will just keep running forever and likely freeze. Danger infinite loop. X equals 5, while x is greater than 0, print help, I'm stuck. The value of x never changes. Condition is always true. See, x is greater than 0 is always true because x stays at 5. To fix this, you need to change x inside the loop, like subtracting from it so it eventually reaches 0 or less. Fixed loop x equals 5, while x is greater than 0, print counting down x. X equals x minus 1, or x minus equals 1. Phew, much better. Always remember to update your condition variables in while loops. Loops are powerful, but sometimes you need more control within the loop itself. That's where break and continue come in. The break statement is like an emergency exit. When Python hits break inside a loop, it immediately stops the loop completely and the program continues with the code after the loop. Use break when you've found what you're looking for or a certain event happens that means the loop should stop early. Numbers equals 1, 5, 8, 12, 7, 15. Search for equals 7 for num in numbers. Print checking num. If num equals search for, print found it search for. Break exit the loop now. Print not found yet. This line is skipped after break. Notice how it printed checking 7, then found it, and then stopped. It didn't check 15 because break exited the loop. The continue statement is different. It's like skipping a step. When Python hits continue inside a loop, it stops the current iteration and jumps straight to the next one. The rest of the code below continue in that iteration is skipped. Use continue when you want to skip processing for a specific item or condition, but still want to keep the loop running for the other items. Numbers equals 1, 2, 5, 8, 10. For num in numbers, if num is less than 0, print skipping negative number num. Continue. Skip the rest of this iteration. Print processing positive number num. See how it said skipping negative number for -2 and -8, but didn't print processing positive number for them? It just jumped to the next number in the list. Understanding when to use for versus while and how break and continue can change how your loops run is absolutely key to writing powerful and effective loop logic in Python. All right, enough theory. Let's get our hands dirty and write some code together. Open up your favorite code editor and follow along. First, let's play with for loops. Let's create a list of numbers and print each one. For loop iterating through a list, numbers list equals 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Print iterating through a list. For number in numbers list, print number. Simple, right? It goes through every item in the list. How about a string? Strings are just sequences of characters. For loop iterating through a string, my string equals Python. Print n iterating through a string. For char in my string, print char. Prints each character on a new line. Now using range to repeat something a specific number of times. Let's print numbers from 1 to 10. Remember, range start stop stops before stop, so we need range 111. For loop with range, print n using range 111. For I in range 111, print I. Perfect. What about dictionaries? We can iterate through them too. By default, a for loop on a dictionary iterates through its keys. For loop iterating through a dictionary, my dict equals apple 1, banana 2, cherry 3. Print n iterating through dictionary keys. For key in my dict, print key. To get keys and values, use the items method. Print iterating through dictionary items key value. For key value in my dict items, print key value. Great, we've covered the basics of for loops. Let's move on to while loops. Let's build that simple counter loop we saw earlier. Simple while loop counter. Count equals 0, print simple while loop. While count is less than 5, print count, count. Count equals count plus 1. Increment the counter. See how count goes from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. When it becomes 5, the condition count 5 is no longer true, and the loop stops. Now let's try a slightly more practical example, simulating a login attempt with a limited number of tries. While loop for login attempts, correct password equals secure 123, attempts equals 0, max attempts equals 3, print login simulation 3 attempts max. While attempts is less than max attempts, user input equals input, enter password, get user input. If user input equals correct password, print login successful. Break, exit the loop because we succeeded. Else, print incorrect password. Attempts equals attempts plus 1. Increment the attempt counter. After the loop finishes, if attempts equals max attempts, print too many failed attempts. Account locked. Notice how we used break there? As soon as the user enters the correct password, we don't need to loop anymore, so break gets us out. If attempts reaches max attempts, The while attempt is less than max attempts condition becomes false, and the loop stops naturally. And then we check if they ran out of attempts. This is a great example of using a while loop when you don't know how many tries it will take, but you have a clear stopping condition, either success or running out of attempts. Let's see break and continue in action more specifically. Back to our number list. Let's use break to stop the loop as soon as we find the number 7. Using break in a loop, numbers list equals 1, 5, 8, 12, 7, 15, 20. Search for equals 7. Print, using break to stop when 7 is found. For number in numbers list, print checking number. If number equals search for, print found 7, stopping the search. Break, exit the loop. This line won't run after break. Print still looking. Print loop finished. This line runs after the loop exits. See? Still looking. Wasn't printed after 7 was found because break instantly jumped out of the loop. Now, let's use continue to skip even numbers and only print the odd ones. Using continue in a loop, numbers list equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Print using continue to skip even numbers. For number in numbers list, if number modulo 2 equals 0, check if the number is even. Print skipping even number. Continue. Skip the rest of the code in this iteration. This line only runs for odd numbers. Print processing odd number. Notice how processing odd number only prints for the odd numbers. When the number was even, continue sent us straight to the next number in the list. You can use break in while loops too. Let's make an intentional infinite loop and use break to escape it based on user input. Break in a while loop with potential infinite loop if condition is never met. Print n using break in a while loop, while true. This condition is always true, potential infinite loop. User input equals input, type quit to exit. If user input dot lower equals quit, print exiting loop. Break. This break is our escape route. Print, you typed user input. Print, program continued after the while loop. This while true, loop would run forever if we didn't have that if statement checking for quit and the break inside it. It's a common pattern for programs that need to run continuously until a specific exit command is given. See how these tools, break and continue, give us fine-grained control over exactly when and how our loops repeat? They are super useful. Before we move on, let's quickly touch on common mistakes and how to think about debugging loops. We already saw the most critical one for while loops, the infinite loop. If your program freezes or a loop runs forever unexpectedly, check your while loop condition and make sure you're updating the variables involved so the condition will eventually become false. Another common one is the off by one error, especially with range or loop conditions. Remember, range start-stop includes start but excludes stop. If you want to process exactly 5 items using range, you'd typically use range 5, which gives 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, or range 1, 6. Pay close attention to the is less than or equals versus is less than or is greater than or equals versus is greater than in your while loop conditions to make sure you include or exclude the boundary values correctly. If a loop isn't doing what you expect, try adding print statements inside the loop to see the value of your loop variables like count, item, I at each step. This helps you track the flow and see where it's going wrong. If you're using an IDE like VS Code or PyCharm, you can also learn to use the debugger to step through your code line by line, which is incredibly powerful for understanding loop execution. We won't go deep into debugging right now, but just know that tool exists and is your friend. All right, we've learned the theory and practiced with hands-on examples. Now, let's see how loops can be used to build something useful. We're going to create a simple text-based menu system. The idea is that the program will keep showing the user a menu of options and do something based on their choice, repeating until they specifically choose to quit. This is a perfect job for a while loop, simple menu system project. This variable will control our loop. Run equals true. Print, welcome to the simple menu system. Start the main loop while running. Print N menu. Print 1, say hello. Print 2, say goodbye. Print 3, quit. Get user input, user choice equals input. Enter your choice 1, 2, or 3. Now check the user's choice using if, elif, else. If user choice equals 1, print hello. Elif user choice equals 2, print goodbye. Elif user choice equals 3, exiting the program. Running equals false. Set the condition to false to stop the loop. Else, print invalid choice, please try again. Print program finished. This runs after the loop stops. Let's walk through this. We start with a variable running set to true. Our while running loop will keep going as long as this variable is true. Inside the loop, we print the menu, get the user's input, and then use if, elif, else to check what they typed. If they choose 1 or 2, we print a message. If they type something else, we print an error, and the loop continues because running is still true. The magic happens when they choose 3. We print an exit message, and then we set running equals false. The next time the while loop checks its condition, running is false, so the loop stops and the program finishes. You could easily extend this, add more options, perform calculations, ask for more input based on the choice. The while loop keeps the program interactive and running until the user wants to stop. You've done great work following along. Now, it's your turn to put your loop skills to the test. Coding challenge. Your task is to write a Python program that takes a list of numbers. Use a loop to calculate the sum of only the positive numbers in the list. Think about which loop is best suited for going through a list, and how can you skip adding the negative numbers to your sum. Hint, remember that continue statement? Pause the video right now and give it a try. Coding is all about practice. Welcome back. How did it go? Don't worry if you didn't get it right away. The process is what matters. You can find the solution code for this challenge linked in the description below, along with all the other code snippets from this video. And if you want to keep exploring, here are a few extension ideas. 1. Look up the else block that can be used with loops. What happens when a loop finishes normally, without a break, compared to when it's broken out of? 2. Explore nested loops. That's loops inside loops. They're powerful for working with grids or combinades or combinations. 3. How would you use loops, maybe even nested loops, to count how many times each character appears in a string? Don't stop here. Practice these concepts, try these challenges, and see where loops can help you solve problems. All right, we covered a lot of ground today. You've taken a huge step in mastering repetition and automation in Python. We learned how for loops are perfect for iterating over sequences like lists or strings, and how range lets you repeat code a specific number of times. We explored while loops, which repeat based on a condition being true, and crucially, we learned to avoid infinite loops by updating that condition inside the loop. You saw how break acts as an emergency exit, letting you stop a loop instantly when a specific event occurs, and how continue lets you skip processing for the current item or situation and jump to the next iteration. You also saw how putting these together allows you to automate repetitive tasks and build simple interactive programs like our menu system. Loops are one of the most fundamental concepts in programming, and you will use them constantly in your Python journey. Speaking of journeys, in our very next video, we're going to dive into working with strings, that essential data type you often use loops with. We'll explore how to manipulate strings, split them, join them, and much more. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss that. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps the channel. Leave a comment below with any questions you have, or let me know if you solved the coding challenge. Also, remember to check the video description. You'll find all the code snippets from this lesson, the solution to the challenge, downloadable resources like a loops cheat sheet, and a quiz to test your understanding, which is automatically graded. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Happy coding!